Hey, this is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com and welcome to my tarot card meanings deep dive series. In this video, we're going to be diving into the Hanged Man. So I'm going to tell you what the Hanged Man is all about, what it means when it comes up in a reading. We're going to dive into the important symbols on this card. And then we're going to explore three main key areas of this card, and I'm going to give you some fun journaling questions to ponder. So without much further ado, let's dive into the Hanged Man. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, maybe even leave me a comment. I also post all of my videos in this series on my website, and I'm going to put a link to all of that stuff down below this video. So some keywords to remember when it comes to the Hanged Man, and the image that you see on your screen right now is from the Universal Waite Tarot. So some keywords here are feeling powerless and stuck, going nowhere, surrender, acceptance, enlightenment, new perspective. And I always associate the Hanged Man with changing your inner reality as a way to change your outer reality. So by your inner reality, I mean like your beliefs, thoughts, patterns, habits. So I see the Hanged Man as kind of being about sort of going inward and changing your inner perspective and your inner reality. So some symbols to pay attention to on this card. The first symbol I want to draw your attention to is the T-shaped structure kind of at the top of this card. We have that wooden beam going across the top and then the vertical beam going down the center of the card. So I think that this T-shaped structure represents the intersection of the horizontal path that we're all on and the vertical path. The horizontal, well, I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we move through the video. The other symbol I want to bring your attention to is the tied hands and ankle. So his hands are behind his back. We don't know for sure if they're tied, but there's like a rope going around his waist. So I think we can kind of assume his hands are tied behind his back. And then there's a rope over one of his ankles. And that symbol, that kind of being tied up, is that symbol of being powerless, being stuck, not going anywhere. And he's hanging upside down. And think about this for a minute. Think about if you were to be hanging upside down, you see everything from a completely different perspective. So that symbol of hanging upside down is about getting a different perspective. Another thing that's interesting about this card is that despite the fact that he's hanging upside down, he looks really serene. Like if you look at his facial expression, he has this really peaceful, relaxed facial expression. And there's a glow around his head. And that glow around his head represents spiritual enlightenment. The only other card in this tarot deck that has anything similar to that is the Temperance card. There is some like rays around the head of the angel on Temperance as well. So every tarot card has a bright side or a light side and a dark side. And the Hanged Man's dark side is that he can represent feeling stuck and feeling powerless, feeling like you're at a dead end and like you aren't going anywhere. His light side is that this feeling of stuckness and not going anywhere can actually force you to go inward and start making changes to your inner reality, your inner life. And that can allow you to find a new understanding and a new perspective, maybe even a sense of enlightenment about your situation. So before we go deeper with this card, I want to go back to the concept that I mentioned earlier about the vertical versus the horizontal path. So the horizontal path is the path that we're on from birth to death. So that is like the linear path, that's linear time that we're all on. I also associate that path with our outer reality. So your horizontal path is like the things that you do, the things you accomplish, your job, your family, your friends, the things you own, your surroundings, kind of the obvious physical aspects of your life. That is your horizontal path. The vertical path is more about presence and spiritual connection. It's about awareness, like the quality of your being. There's more of a depth to this, and I associate this vertical path with like the spiritual path, and it's connected to your inner life and your inner realms. Your inner realms are made up of your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your energy, and your subconscious or even your unconscious patterns and beliefs. And so we're always on a vertical path and a horizontal path. Sometimes we neglect the vertical path. Sometimes we neglect that spiritual path. Sometimes we don't pay attention to our quality of presence and being, and we get seduced by the horizontal path and all the things that that entails. And when we do this, what often happens is we get stuck somewhere along the way on our horizontal path, or something bad happens, or something just blows up and something isn't working in our day-to-day life. And that actually forces us to go inward and to reconnect with that spiritual center. And it forces us to kind of reconnect with our vertical path. All right, so the first key area that I want to explore with the Hanged Man is this feeling stuck, feeling powerless, because this is really what he represents. And he will often come up in a reading when you are feeling stuck, you're feeling helpless in some way. So this is where you kind of find yourself at a dead end, where no amount of effort, no amount of action or willpower seems to make a difference. And this is where there is nowhere to go but in. When you can't go anywhere on the horizontal path, when nothing is working out for you in your life, sometimes there's nothing to do and nowhere to go but to go inward. So these moments throughout our life, these times where we feel stuck and helpless and really challenged, these are moments that are really invitations to move inward and to achieve a greater sort of depth of understanding. When you can't change your outer life, your outer landscape, then you must go inside and change your inner life and your inner landscape, and have a look at your beliefs, your thoughts, your responses to things, your reactions, your motivations, and your patterns. So some questions I have for you. The first question is, where are you stuck? Maybe you're just stuck in a general sense, or maybe there's one area of your life where you're kind of stuck, or maybe you're just stuck on like one project or something, or you're not stuck at all, in which case, congratulations, that's wonderful. But ask yourself, are you stuck in any area? And how can you change your inner landscape? So how can you start to work with your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, the relationship you have with your inner life? The other question, which is kind of an interesting one, is how do you think we are stuck as a collective, like as a society, humanity in general? How do you think we're stuck right now? And what questions should we be asking ourselves? Because when you go inward, when you journey on the vertical path, that actually is all about asking yourself the big questions in life, like, why am I here? What is this all about? What are we doing? What is the purpose of all of this? Those are all kind of vertical path questions. And I think that the Hangman really represents kind of where humanity is at right now. It's at this kind of crisis point where a lot of us are feeling powerless, we're feeling helpless, we're feeling stuck. And I think that I feel like humanity in general is in this kind of like hanged man state, where the usual modes of doing things and the usual approaches just aren't really working. And a lot of things are starting to show cracks. A lot of things are crumbling. Now, what's interesting about the Hangman is there's actually 3 stages to the Hangman. So the first stage is that feeling stuck, feeling really helpless, feeling really powerless. The second stage is surrender and acceptance, which I'm going to talk about next. But the third stage, just to give you a sneak peek, is enlightenment. So let's talk about surrender and acceptance. So surrender and acceptance is all about letting go of the need to control things and have everything go according to plan. When we're walking on the horizontal path, we usually have a plan, we have goals, things are running really smoothly. And when things stop going according to our plans, it can be really, really frustrating. And this is where we start to feel helpless. We start to feel frustrated and powerless. And as we let go of this need to control everything, as we start to accept things and people as they are without trying to change things or fix things, it allows you to release a lot of tension. Like just the other day, I realized that the state of mind that I was in was one of feeling like everything's broken and everything needs to be fixed. Like I was like, oh, this shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening. This needs to happen. This person's wrong. This person's wrong. Like this needs to change. I need to fix this. And when you're in that state, it's like this state of tension and non-acceptance. And when you just accept everything as it is, and that's not the same thing as agreeing that everything is okay or that everything should be this way, but it's instead of saying things shouldn't be this way or things could be different, you're just saying things are as they are. You know, it is what it is. And that, when I say that to myself, I feel like this sense of relief and this like weight being lifted off my shoulders, and this feeling of spaciousness kind of opens up inside of me. So some questions I have for you. I want you to think of a time in your life when you just gave up on something and you just let go of trying to fix it or have it work out a certain way. How did things eventually work out? Once you kind of threw in the towel and just accepted things as they were, how did things unfold from that point on? And what helps you let go and surrender? Because whenever the Hangman shows up in a reading, it's telling you, you know, let go. There's nothing you can do the usual way. Like your efforts and your actions probably aren't going to make a big difference. So you need to just relax and let go of things right now. So what helps you do that? What helps you surrender? So I'll share a little personal story with you. A number of years ago, I was really frustrated that I wanted a certain thing. I wanted things to go a certain way. And my partner wasn't really playing along. I wanted him to feel a certain way, to do certain things, and all of my efforts to try to make that happen just wasn't really going anywhere. And so I was getting more and more frustrated and trying harder and harder and trying to learn different communication techniques and things like that, and nothing was working. And so I thought, okay, you know what? I'm gonna give up on trying for this, and I'm gonna refocus my attention on myself. And I signed up for this course that was a nutrition course that took a lot of time, kept me really busy, and I just needed something to focus my mind on, because I sometimes have an overactive mind, and I needed to put that energy into something else. And so I refocused it on this course, and that took my focus and attention off my partner and trying to get him to do a bunch of different things, and it focused it on something else. And that allowed me to surrender and kind of let go a little bit about what I was wanting, what my agenda was, what my plans were. And as that happened, things started to change. Not right away, but after a while, the dynamic changed because I wasn't, the pressure was gone, the tension was lifted. I wasn't putting my focus on the relationship so much. I was putting it on myself. And so that dynamic shifted and it changed and things worked out over time. So what helps you surrender? So for me, it's taking my attention off of the thing I'm trying to change or fix and putting it on something else. That allows me to kind of let go. But there's a million other ways that you can surrender. So what things help you let go? The other question is, what happens when you fully accept everything and everyone, including yourself, as you are in this moment? And you can even just pretend to do this. So just telling yourself, in this moment, I completely accept myself as I am. And everyone else around me is okay as they are right now. And everything that's going on, everything that's happening, just simply is. It is what it is. What happens when you do that? That is kind of the magic. This is the alchemy that the Hanged Man presents to us. The third stop on this journey is enlightenment. So first you have to get stuck. Second, you have to let go and surrender. And then the third step is a new perspective, a new understanding, and maybe even enlightenment. So enlightenment only happens after we let go of our plans, our timelines, our agendas, our ideology. We let go of all of that and we become willing to journey inward. That is when enlightenment can occur. Doesn't mean it will occur, but it can. That sets the scene for enlightenment to occur. So what is enlightenment? I want you to really think about this word, enlightenment. The word light is in there. It's like shedding a light on something. It's bringing a new understanding, a new awareness. This enlightenment, a new vision, a new understanding. I often think of enlightenment as, think of a light bulb just switching on inside your brain. This aha, I get it, this aha moment. And often a real sense of peace and serenity will come after enlightenment, just like the expression on the Hanged Man's face. And think about, anyone you know that you might consider to be enlightened. They're usually peaceful, serene people. They're not all stressed out. So a question I have for you is, what does enlightenment mean to you? And I want you to say that word out loud, break it down, think about it. What does enlightenment mean to you? And what do you think enlightenment will feel like? Do you think that it's like just a flash, something that happens for a few seconds and then goes away? Do you think people can become enlightened but then go back to being not enlightened and then come back to being enlightened? Or once you're enlightened, is that it? Once that light bulb gets switched on, is that it? Are they enlightened for the rest of their life? And what do you think it feels like to achieve enlightenment? I always imagine it to feel hilarious. I just think that if I ever become enlightened, the moment that I become enlightened, the moment that I have this sudden aha moment, this sense of understanding of the universe and everything, I feel like it's going to feel like one hilarious joke. I'm just going to start laughing and laughing and laughing, and I won't be able to stop laughing. That's what I think of when I think of enlightenment. I think of just hilarious laughter. But you might have a very different understanding of enlightenment. Maybe for you, you think of it as feeling more relaxing and calm. Who knows? All right, so the wisdom of the Hanged Man is that when we get stuck and when we seem to have no control or power over our outer lives, it's time to move inward and become more adept at shaping our inner world and working with our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions, our attention, focus, our energy, our feelings, all of that stuff. And the wisdom of the Hangman is that letting go of our need to control and change things can ultimately lead us to a new understanding of things, a divine acceptance of all that is, which in turn can lead us to enlightenment. The Hanged Man says, don't forget to honor your vertical path as well as your horizontal path. So thank you so much for watching. This has been my deep dive into the Hanged Man, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Hanged Man. I'd love to hear how you feel about this card. And again, I'm going to put the link to where you can, if you go to my blog, I'll put the link below, but if you go to that link, I'll have all the journaling questions displayed there as well if you want to see them. And yeah, let me know what you think. And thank you so much for watching. Next week, we're going to dive into number 13, which is the Death card. And I have been looking forward to diving into the Death card since I first started this series, because that's a big card. So I can't wait for that, and I'll come out with that video next week. So stay tuned.